Hi garden friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Era and this is Gardening on Purpose. I garden in Georgia, Zone 8A, where I do gardening related videos. Today, I'll be cutting back some of my perennials. A lot of them have put out new growth. We've been having really great temperatures. And this week, we've been actually having 50s and 60s and lows in the high 30s and mid 40s. So this is the perfect time, or this is the time that I cut my perennials back. So let's get started. All right, guys, so these are the tools that I'm going to need for this task today. I've got two loppers. This yellow one is probably the one I'm going to use if I use either of them today. And then I have a pruning shear and a little garden scissors here. I also have some paper towel that I will use to wipe off the excess alcohol that I'll be, spraying on these guys here as I go by. Of course, I have my gloves. It is a really nice day today, so I might not even use the gloves, but it all depends. So let's get started. First up is the beautiful Autumn Joy Sedum. You might have seen this in my spotlight video. You always see it in my tours in late summer into the fall. It is a beautiful plant that blooms all the way down to October for me. Now, I have done one already. This is what it looks like after the fact, but I'm just going to show you. All I did really is I used this pruning shear and I just kind of cleaned the plant away a little bit, all those leaves, and use my pruning shears and come in as close as I can to the edge of these old guys here, these old branches, and cut it off. I just go in, use this shear right here, try not to damage the new growth. All that nice broccoli looking thing here, that's new growth right there. That one might actually need a bigger lopper. But again, I'm just gonna go in the entire plant, cut it off first. Let's kind of go in a little further. See, and you can see it's already beginning to look like that one, which I already did. Somebody came to my yard, not really a gardener, and they were like, is that broccoli? When it was in its glory and it's really nice and green, they thought it was broccoli. It does look like broccoli, but it is not edible, guys. Do not eat this plant. Okay, so I'm halfway there. And again, I could go in if I wanted to, even further, to kind of hide these. But when these guys get bigger, they're going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, then they begin to kind of hide these old ones here. One of the reasons I'm not going all the way in is because I don't want to damage the new growth. And I also mulch in place. So these guys here, they're not sickly looking, they're not diseased or anything. So they're gonna actually, I'm gonna kind of break them up a little bit more and leave it right here in the bed for it to compost. Okay, so here's the first step after that first round. That's what it looks like, right? But again, I can come in even further if I want to. And if you want to come all the way down, then you could do that. But that's the idea of doing my Autumn Joy Sedum. And then once I finish doing what I'm doing, and I will break these up, like all these things I just cut off, just check to make sure they don't have any diseases on them. And if they don't, you can actually just mulch in place, because I'm trying to reduce the amount of trash that I have. And with gardening, a lot of things are reusable. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's move on to the next plant. Next up is Nepeta. This one is Cat's Meow, and this one is from Proven Winners. These I got as clearance plants at Lowe's. If you know, I'm a big clearance person, so a lot of these plants, if I had to guess, I would say 75% of my yard is clearance plants, and this is how I was able to have all these plants in my yard. But in any case, this is the Nepeta, And this is one of the easier ones to actually to clean up, because it's easy. I can just pull on the old foliage. Now if I go in, all this down here, that's all new foliage right there. But look at all this dry stuff here. If I just grab it with my hand and pull it off, it comes all the way off, guys. Look at that. I'm just going to go around the entire thing and pull it, and you'll see. Now, for this one, because the leaves are so small, I don't worry about it too much. I'm not going to sit here and try to cut off all these little skinny little branches here. But this is what it looks like. And again, it smells so nice though. If you have this, it reminds me so much of spearmint gum. This is what this thing smells like in the yard. But you kind of have to come close to it to see. But yeah, that's what I do. And then if you feel like shaping it up a little bit more, then you can. But I don't really do too much. As you can see, this is not meant to be a formal, pristine garden or anything, but for cutback purposes and to help it rejuvenate all that new growth right there, this is all I do. And I've been doing the same thing for the last 4 years, and they come back looking great. And again, all I do is just pull on it. I have another one right here, which I'll do the exact same thing too. And this one I already done already. Cat's Meow Nepeta. Next up is meant to be Queen Nectarine Agastache. This one here, again, this is a proven winners. And as you can see down here's the new growth. This is what happens in my garden. In February, you start seeing that new growth. These things bloom on new wood, so there is no need to keep this. I mean, obviously, if you feel like cutting this earlier on before February, you can do that, because this is pretty much all dead. And for this one, this is the first year I have it in my garden, because, well, actually, no. I've had it when I first started gardening, and it didn't do too well. And I think it's because it wasn't in a dry enough place. Because if you have this plant, you know they do not like wet feet. And they died. But anyway, I have this one. I bought this one last year, Queen Nectarine, and it looks like it's going to come back great for me. So as you just saw, all I did was just use my pruning shears, go in as low as I can without hurting the new foliage, and just cutting it and kind of shaping it the way you want to shape it. You know, I don't make a big deal out of you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. You got to do what's best for you, your garden, your plant, and your liking, and that's what that is. So that was Queen Nectarine, meant to be Agastache. Next up are my mums. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know I love mums, and you also know that I used to just put mums in the containers. But when I learned that you can take them out the container and then put them in the ground, they've been flowering. This is 4 years worth of mums. I don't feel the need to buy mums anymore, because these guys come back, and actually some of them bloom in the spring. At first, I thought that mums were a fall plant, but mine have bloomed in the spring. So, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of them here. I have some yellows, some whites, some reds, and you can see the new growth down here. And again, the same idea, guys. Nothing different from the others. All these things right here, just go down and cut it without hurting the new foliage. You determine how far down you want to go. If you don't want to see certain brown things like, you know, popping up, then just cut it off like that. Here's another one. Just go in and just use the pruning shears and just cut it back the way you want it. And that what all this does really, it tells the plant, it gives the plant more energy to go into continuing to grow, because obviously it's been carrying that old growth, and now that we've cut it off, the plant will go into high gear and just keep producing, even though this wouldn't have stopped it, but it doesn't look good in the garden sometimes. And also some plants just happen to respond better to pruning than others. So that was mums, chrysanthemums. Next up is the beautiful Gaura. This is the pink Belize Gaura. Looks like quite a mess right now. It is one of the longest flowering perennials in my yard. I went through a rough time with Gaura where they died. And, well, I thought that they died, and then they just came back out of nowhere. But anyway, the same idea is if you come in closer, you'll see that's that new growth underneath here. Gaura blooms on new wood, so we don't need all this old stuff. So again, I go in, try to go as low as I can and just cut all that old stuff off. Go around in a circle and just cut it off. This one here, I have a white one too, but this one here is the pink, and they look like really nice butterflies swaying in the wind when they're blooming, guys. So as you can see, all I'm doing is going around and just cutting it. And this shear has been holding up, guys. Anything like as thick as a pencil will work with this shear right here. I haven't had to pull the loppers out yet. Ooh, almost cut. Oh, I did cut it off. See right there? Not paying attention, but I mean, it's fine. The plant, nothing's going to really happen. It's just that as a matter of procedure, I kind of try not to cut the new foliage off. Okay. And also because I'm recording, if I was paying attention, I would not have cut that off. Okay, so there you go. There you can mostly see what the Gaura is supposed to look like. And again, here we have some, these ones here I can actually pull off too. And again, this will help the plant to start hitting into gear. We're supposed to be having some really great temperatures, guys. And then we're going to get cold again, you know. So I could have waited until March, but this is when I do it. And even if we get cold, we're not going to be getting like 10, 15 degrees. It's going to actually hurt the new foliage, so they should be fine. So that was the pink Belize Gaura. Next up is the beautiful bee balm. Not sure, actually, I don't know what variety of bee balm this is. All I know is a really nice reddish pinkish color, and it is a pollinator magnet. I have two of them beside each other, and they do really great. And as you can see, just like everything else, there is some new growth down there, and the same idea applies. Use my pruning shears after wiping it down with some alcohol and coming as low down as I can and cutting that off. And not only does it look better in the garden, the plant really does appreciate it, guys. All right. Now again, bee balm is susceptible to leaf spots and mildew, but mine have been doing great, so I'm really happy about that. So I'm still going to leave my cuttings in place because I did not see any signs of a disease earlier on in the season. And I'm going to pull these back so you can see. That's what the bee balm looks like. And again, these are poking up a little bit too tall, so I could go in a little bit more and kind of cut them down, but it's up to you. Once again, the beautiful bee balm. All right behind that bee balm was a Salvia. And again, the new growth is looking nice and healthy, but as per usual, this grows on new growth, so you don't need all this old stuff right here. So again, after wiping down my pruner with alcohol, I just kind of go around the plant and cut anything off. I move the leaves a little bit so I can get a better idea of what it looks like. And it's one of the easiest ones to actually prune back, guys, because the branches are smaller and it's not a lot that's actually to come off. And look at that, just like that, I'm done with the Salvia. Next up is Shasta daisies. I have several types of Shasta daisies in my yard. I have White Mountain, I have Snowcap, I have banana cream daisies, the ones that are slightly yellow and then slightly white, and they all look like this. And again, the same thing applies. You just use the pruner and you go in as low as you can and you cut it. Now, obviously, if you've been following me, you know I have a lot of perennials, so I cannot do a video just showing you every single perennial being cut back. But that is pretty much the idea of how I go about pruning pretty much 95% of the perennials in my yard, right? Same thing here with this. This is a phlox. I think it's called wide-eye phlox, if I'm remembering correctly. And as you can see, look at all this nice, really green foliage here, and then look at all that old stuff here. Let me see. I could just pull this off, guys. So not everything needs a pruner. I could just pull this off and just break it off. And just like that, use my hand and kind of scratch at it a little bit. And just like that, I am done with the phlox. Another one here is Yarrow. This one here, the color is like a pastel, whitey, very faint pink. This one here spreads. When I bought this thing, it was pretty much a quarter of what you're seeing here, and it has spread, and you can see it going all the way over there too. This might have to move, but again, grab the old foliage and just pull it off. Just grab it and pull it off. The plant is not feeling any pain. Obviously, you don't want to yank at roots. You're only yanking at the old brown stems that are pretty much dead anyway. And like I said, it looks good and it's better for the plant. That was Yarrow. Next up are the beautiful coneflowers. You know that I love them. They take the Georgia heat really, really well. This is the plant that won't wilt in 95 degrees in the middle of July. They are beautiful. They bring in pollinators. They can take the heat, and they are great for seeds for the birds. So here I have, in this yard, I have Powwow, I have Sunseekers, I have Cheyenne Spirit, and they all pretty much perform really, really great in the yard. Now, this one might not have as much new growth as the ones that I showed you earlier, the previous plants, but the idea is the same, where look at all this old things here that are no use anymore. I mean, this was old wood. All these perennials are going to bloom on new wood. I just grab it and break it off if I can without hurting the plant. Sometimes if you use the pruners too much, I find it slows me down. I prefer to just go in here and pull it if I can. And just like that, it's over. Nothing fancy. It's over. That is the Cheyenne Spirit coneflower, guys. That is pretty much that. Daylilies are another plant that are really, really easy to clean up. But I think with me being out here in the garden every day, I just pulled it off before I actually I pulled this off like a week ago. So that didn't get to be part of this video because, it was just easy to do. It was just like right there. And as you can see here, here's a little remnants of the old foliage right here. And just like the Nepeta, all I did was pull it off. And as you can see, all my dailies are looking great. They are ready to go, guys. Another one I'm going to show you, and probably the final one on camera before I go and just do all this and get it out the way, is Eryngium. This one here I had bought from Walmart 3 years ago. First year I bought it, I bought it bare root, and I have two of them, one here, another one here. And I didn't realize that it wasn't going to bloom the first year. I was really excited because it actually has this really nice purple, spiky look, and I think it's called blue sea holly. It's called Eryngium sea holly, and it is really, really beautiful, guys. It brings pollinators that I have never seen into the yard. This does not just bring in butterflies or bees. I mean, there's some things I don't even know existed that this thing pulls into the yard. It's really, really a sight to see in the summer. But anyway, when I first bought it, I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is not blooming. And then I read that some of these things that you actually buy bare root, they're only going to bloom in the second year. And I patiently waited for it, and it was an absolute beauty. It has this really purple, spiky, alieny looking, beautiful flowers. So it's pretty thick here, but look how easy it was for me to break that off. Break it off like that. And that is pretty much it for the sea holly, guys. All right, guys, so not all the perennials are showing new growth in the garden, and that's okay. The dahlias are not going to be coming out anytime soon. My Veronicas are not coming out because they bloom later on in the season, so they don't feel the need to jump the gun as soon as the temperatures get really, really nice. So don't worry if you see certain plants and you're wondering why hasn't it been showing new growth. It just could be that they come out later. That's the same thing I noticed with perennial hibiscus. They come out really, really late and people think that they're dead, but they're quite fine. Anyway, guys, hope this helps. But this is my little process I do here in Zone 8A in Georgia, how I clean up my perennials. I'm just going to go and clean up all the entire garden, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.